You are now unmuted.
Hello everyone, welcome to Plutus IAS. So today in our National Daily Analysis and UPSC topic analysis, we are going to analyze some important topics from UPSC prelims and means perspective. Okay, so the topics that we are going to analyze today are elephant bonds. We will understand about elephant bonds, okay, from prelims perspective, okay, from prelims perspective, and it is a topic from Indian economy. Okay, so it has been in news time and again. Okay, so I will talk about what do we mean by elephant bond and what is the significance of elephant bonds. Okay, so we will understand about it. Then the next topic that we are going to understand is equip project. Okay, so this is a project which is under the Ministry of Education now. We will understand about this particular project, and along with this I have also included, okay, a link that will help you to understand various similar projects of the Ministry of Education. Okay, so equip project, this is also a very important topic for the prelims examination. So this is like you can consider it to be a standalone topic, but at the same time you can connect it with the broader perspective of educational reforms in India. Okay, so it is associated with education, and as you know, education is associated with human development. Okay, so it can be connected with Indian economy as well as, okay, it can be connected with the economy, and at the same time you can connect it with social justice. Okay, then we will talk about the next topic, which is honey adulteration. Okay, we will understand about honey adulteration. Recently, Center for Science and Environment has conducted a research analysis on various kind of branded honey products that are being sold in Indian markets, and they found that out of 15 branded honey products, 10 to 12 were adulterated with some kind of sugar syrup. So we will understand about this particular issue, okay, in detail. So this topic we will understand with reference to means perspective of UPSC paper. Okay, so this honey adulteration and these things, they are associated with how health and health related things are being regulated in India. Okay, so if you want to learn this particular topic, you can connect this particular topic with general studies paper 2 and at the same time general studies paper 3. Okay, then next topic that we will understand is gender sensitization in judiciary. Okay, recently the Attorney General of India, KK Venugopal, okay, has submitted in the Supreme Court of India that like there is a requirement of gender sensitization in higher judiciary in India. So in this perspective, we will understand in detail about gender sensitization in judiciary in detail today. Okay, so this is a very important topic with reference to general studies paper 2, and specifically it is a topic with reference to reforms in the judiciary. Okay, the next topic that we are going to understand is World Malaria Report. Okay, this report is published by the World Health Organization. We will talk about World Malaria Report. We will understand what is the like incidence of malaria related deaths globally and as well as in India. Okay, so this is a very important topic. It can be important for the prelims exam as well as for the mains examination. Okay, so now let us talk about the topics that we are going to understand. The first topic that we will understand is elephant bonds. Okay, this is the first topic for the day. We will understand what do we mean by elephant bonds and what was the requirement of elephant bond. Okay, so as you know, like in India, right, there are many people who are earning a very huge amount. Okay, at the same time many of those people are not paying taxes. So the thing is, these money are also considered as part of black money. Okay, black money is not only unpaid tax money, there are other forms of black money also, so it is considered as a part of black money, or we can generally say them as to be undisclosed income. So recently Government of India has come up with certain kind of like advisory or notification that those people who have undisclosed income, they can now disclose their income with the Government of India, and Government of India will give some them some relaxations. Okay, so people who disclose the undisclosed income, okay, those people are mandated to, okay, mandated to like invest their money into elephant bonds. Okay, we will understand about what do we mean by elephant bonds, how it came, and what is the significance of elephant bonds. Okay, so let us understand the context in which it was in news. Okay, recently the high level government appointed committee on trade and industry has suggested it to issue elephant bonds to people for declaring undisclosed income to mandatorily invest 50%, okay, of their undisclosed income into the elephant bonds. Okay, so what are elephant bonds? Elephant bonds are 25-year sovereign bonds, okay, in which people declaring undisclosed income will be bound to invest 50%. Okay, the fund made from these bonds will be utilized only for infrastructure projects. Now we need to understand, okay, as you know that like level of infrastructure in India is very low as compared to many other, like developed economies or developing economies. So infrastructure is a sector, okay, that can give us higher return on a longer term basis. Okay, so here like we need a pool of investment into the infrastructure sector. So people who are declaring their undisclosed income, if we make them, invest their part of their income into the elephant bonds, then what we are effectively doing, we are channelizing that undisclosed income into some productive activity for the economy. Okay, so these like whatever amounts are invested into the elephant bonds, they are sovereign bonds. What do we mean by sovereign bonds? These are the bonds that are guaranteed, okay, that are guaranteed by a sovereign authority. Like government of India is our sovereign authority. Like if we talk about like India is like sovereign country. Okay, so the central government in India, okay, so on behalf of the government of India, on behalf of India, they issue some bonds. These are known as sovereign bonds. So sovereign bonds are considered as those bonds that are highly secure bonds. Okay, because like if you invest your money into some private sector, okay, so there are cases of, there are cases of default, there are cases of, like fraud, forgery, a lot of things are associated with that. So high risk is associated with private sector bonds. But if you purchase sovereign bonds, what happens, your money goes into safer hands. Okay, so you are, pretty much sure that you are going to get returns out of it. But if you are investing your money into elephant bonds, you're investing your money for a longer term period, means like you're investing for 25 years. Okay, so what it is going to do, it is going to actually help the economy to, build better. Okay, in recent future. So this is all about elephant bonds. Okay, so you just need to understand that elephant bonds are those bonds where, people invest their undisclosed income for a 25-year time period. Okay, and these bonds will be utilized only for infrastructure projects. Okay, what do we mean by infrastructure projects? Infrastructure projects can be categorized into two parts. We have social infrastructure and we have economic infrastructure. For example, if government of India thinks of, utilizing the money from elephant bonds for developing a port, okay, for developing airport, for developing seaport, or for developing road infrastructure, so they will be considered as economic infrastructure projects. Okay, and when we talk about social infrastructure, we can talk about if government is, building a higher education institute, or it is building a school. Okay, it is building a, like well, so those, infrastructure that helps the society to build. Okay, so they are known as social infrastructure. So I hope you understood about elephant bonds. So having understood the first topic, let us move to the next topic. Okay, so we will understand about equip project. Okay, equip project. So let us understand why equip project was in news. Okay, so let us understand the context. Okay, recently the Ministry of Human Resource Development has planned to launch an ambitious, okay, 1.5 lakh crore equip project to improve the quality and accessibility of higher education over the next 5 years. Okay, So the moment we get to know about EQUIP project, we have to connect it with the Ministry of Human Resource and Development. This was the earlier name of the ministry. Now this ministry has been renamed as Ministry of Education. Okay. So this particular project was initially launched by the Ministry of Human Resource and Development, but recently it has been renamed as Ministry of Education. So we have to connect this EQUIP project with Ministry of Education. Okay. Ministry of Education. Okay, so what is the full form of EQUIP? EQUIP, it stands for Education Quality Upgradation and Inclusion Program. Okay, EQUIP stands for Education Quality Upgradation and Inclusion Program, and was crafted by 10 committees led by the experts within the government. Okay, EQUIP stands for Education Quality Upgradation and Inclusion Program, and it was crafted by 10 committees led by experts within the government. Okay, what are the key focus areas of the EQUIP project? Okay, its focus areas are to improve access to higher education, to improve the gross enrollment ratio, to improve teaching and learning processes, okay, build educational infrastructure, improve the quality of research and innovation, use technology and online learning tools. Okay, so as I already discussed, it is an acronym for Education Quality Upgradation and Inclusion Program. Okay, so this program is meant to bridge the gap between the policy and implementation in the field of higher education and its accessibility. Okay, if you want to learn more about similar projects, I have included a reference link from Press Information Bureau. It gives you a detail about year and review related to education, okay, from the Ministry of Human Resource and Development. Okay, you should remember that this particular ministry has been renamed as Ministry of Education. Okay, so having understood this topic, let us move to the next topic for the day now. Okay, so let us talk about honey adulteration. Okay, honey adulteration. Okay, so what is the context in which honey adulteration was in news? So recently the Center for Science and Environment, okay, has carried out an investigation, and they have found that honey sold by several major brands in India, okay, are adulterated with sugar syrup. Okay, so recently the Center for Science and Environment has conducted an investigation, and they found that major, okay, brands that are selling honey in India, they are these honey are adulterated with sugar syrup. Okay, and what is this Center for Science and Environment? Center for Science and Environment is a not-for-profit public interest research and advocacy organization. Okay, it is a not-for-profit public interest research and advocacy organization. What are the findings of this particular study or investigation that was conducted by the Center for Science and Environment? Okay, so these like samples of 10 out of 13 brands which were examined failed to clear the nuclear magnetic resonance test. Okay, so they have investigated 13 brands, and out of those 13 brands, samples of 10 brands failed to clear this nuclear magnetic resonance test. Okay, so honey samples from the brands such as Dabur, Patanjali, okay, Vaidyanath, Zandu, Hitkari, and Apis Himalaya all failed the internationally accepted NMR test. NMR stands for Nuclear Magnetic Resonance Test. Okay, it is an internationally accepted standard test. Okay, so we will understand more about it. Okay, so Indian companies in the business of honey are importing synthetic sugar syrups from China for adulterating with honey. Okay, CSE has tracked down the Chinese trade portals which were advertising fructose syrup that can bypass tests to check the adulteration. Okay, Chinese companies informed Center for Science and Environment that even if 50 to 80% of the honey is adulterated with syrup, they would pass all stipulated tests as per the Indian standards. Okay, so the thing is, when we compare the Indian standard and the international standards, so there is huge difference. Okay, in Indian standard, they check only for two types of presence of sugar in the honey, but international standard they use NMR test, okay, that test at the molecular level. Okay, in India they check like if there is presence of cane sugar or rice sugar in honey. Okay, so even if 50 to 80% honey is adulterated, like out of, let's consider 1 kg, if half a kg or 800 gram is adulterated with sugar syrup, still it will be able to pass the Indian test. Okay, so this is the thing. So test employed as per the Indian regulations check whether the honey is adulterated with C4 sugar, which is known as cane sugar, or C3 sugar, which is known as rice sugar. Okay. Adulteration also destroyed the livelihoods of beekeepers who found it unprofitable to make pure honey because sugar syrup honey was often available at half the price. Okay, so this is the thing. Sorry, people consume honey so that they can avoid using sugar, but actually the honey that is being sold in Indian market, it is full of sugar. So instead of providing health benefits to people, what it is doing, it is actually harming you more. Okay, it is harming you more. So this study actually opens up eyes of Indian consumers. Okay, so what is the impact of this particular study? Okay, or like impact of adulteration of honey. Okay, households consume more honey because of intrinsic goodness, like it has antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties. As per this investigation, most of the honey sold in the market is adulterated with the sugar syrup. Therefore, instead of honey, people are eating more sugar, which will add to the risk of COVID-19 and increases in the risk of obesity. Okay. Now let us understand about this nuclear magnetic resonance test. Okay, we will understand in detail about this test, nuclear magnetic resonance test. Okay, it is a test that can ascertain the composition of a product at the molecular level. Okay, it is a test that can ascertain the composition of a product at the molecular level. It is an analytical chemistry technique used in quality control and research for determining the content and purity of a sample as well as its molecular structure. Okay, this nuclear magnetic resonance test is not required by Indian law for honey that is being marketed locally but is needed for exports. Okay, recent NMR tests, while being able to detect additives, were not able to detect the quantity of adulteration. Okay, so this particular NMR test was able to detect additives, like what are the things that are mixed, but it was not able to detect the quantity of adulteration, like to what level the impurity has been mixed with pure honey. Okay, so what is the way forward that is available to us? Okay, so there is a need to strengthen the enforcement in India through tightened standards, testing, and also traceability. Okay, the government should get samples tested using advanced technologies and make this information public so that consumers are aware and their health is not compromised. Okay, we should stop import of syrups and honey from China, and we should not allow this to come through other countries, like it can be termed as syrup laundering. You know about money laundering, so this can be similarly termed as syrup laundering. If we are not importing directly from China, we should not allow, okay, those things to be imported through some other countries. Okay, then companies need to trace back the origin of the honey from the beekeepers to the hive. Okay, so these are the way forwards. If you want to learn more, you can follow this reference link from The Hindu. Okay, now let us talk about the next topic for the day, which is gender sensitization in judiciary. Okay, sensitization in judiciary. So this is a topic which is important for the mains examination. Okay, and that too especially for general studies paper 2. Okay, GS paper 2. So under GS paper 2 you study about Indian polity. In Indian polity we study judiciary as well. Okay, Indian polity and constitution. So let us understand like what is the context in which gender sensitization was in news. Okay, recently the Attorney General of India, his name is KK Venugopal. Okay, in his written submission to the Supreme Court, has emphasized the need for gender sensitization among members of the judiciary. Okay, so KK Venugopal has submitted a written report to the Supreme Court of India, and he has emphasized that there is need for greater gender sensitization among the members of the judiciary. Okay. He also highlighted that the figure of female judges has been consistently low across the higher judiciary. Okay. He said like the the number of female judges in higher judiciary is very low in India. Okay, so what is the background, okay, of this particular submission? The Supreme Court had asked the Attorney General and others to recommend ways to improve gender sensitivity towards victim while laying down bail conditions for sex crime offenders. Okay, so Supreme Court of India had earlier asked the Attorney General and other people to recommend ways to improve gender sensitivity towards victims while laying down bail conditions for sex crime offenders. Okay, the bench had sought view on a plea about courts imposing bail conditions for sex crime offenders, which end up further harassing, objectifying their victims. Okay. Recently, there has been an incident that the Madhya Pradesh High Court asked a man, okay, and that particular man was accused in a case of attempting to outrage the modesty of a woman. Okay, so this particular term, outraging the modesty of a woman, is mentioned in the Indian Penal Code. Okay, it is mentioned in IPC and it is a serious crime. Okay, so this Madhya Pradesh High Court has asked that man to visit the home of the alleged victim and request her to tie a rakhi. Okay, so this particular thing is not in line with the standard that the judiciary should be following. Okay, so that's why the Supreme Court of India has asked the Attorney General and others to actually suggest the Supreme Court of India some measures that can be taken to have gender sensitization among the higher judiciary. Okay, so when we talk about data on gender gap in judiciary, okay, we are going to discuss about like how gender gap is there in the judiciary. Okay, the Supreme Court only has 2 women judges. Okay, as against 34 seats for judges. Okay, so in Supreme Court there are 34 seats for the judges, including the Chief Justice of India. Okay, but there are only 2 women judges. Okay, and there has never been a female Chief Justice of India. Okay, in India there has been never been a female Chief Justice of India, although like in India there have been female Prime Minister of India. Okay, not female Chief Justice of India. I understanding. So we need greater participation of women judges in higher judiciary as well. Okay, there are only 80 women judges out of the total sanctioned strength of 1113 judges in the Supreme Court and high courts. Okay, so total 1113 judges are sanctioned, and out of them only 80 are women judges. 80 is the number of women judges. Okay, out of these 80 women judges there are only 2 in the Supreme Court. Okay, and other 78 are in various high courts, comprising only 7.2% of the total number of judges. Okay, of the 26 courts whose data was accessed, including the Supreme Court, the Punjab and Haryana High Court has the maximum strength of women judges. Okay, so Punjab and Haryana High Court has 11 out of 85 judges. 11 are women judges out of total 85 judges in Punjab and Haryana High Court. Okay, and in the country followed by Madras. Okay, Madras High Court has 7 out of 75 judges, or sorry, 9 out of 75 judges. 9 judges are women, female judges, and others out of 75 judges in total. So both Delhi and Bombay High Courts have 8 women judges. Okay, the High Courts of Manipur, Meghalaya, Patna, Tripura, Telangana and Uttarakhand do not have any women in the sitting judges. Okay, the High Courts of Manipur, Meghalaya, Patna, Tripura, Telangana and Uttarakhand do not have any women in the sitting judges. Currently, no data is centrally maintained on the number of judges in the tribunals or lower courts in India. Okay. So, in the senior designation of lawyers, there are only 17 women senior counsel designates in the Supreme Court as opposed to 403 men. Okay, so there are only 17 women senior counsel designates in the Supreme Court. Okay, and there are 403 men council designates. When we talk about the Delhi High Court, it has 8 women and 229 men designates. Similarly, in the Bombay High Court, there are 6 women and 153 men designates. Okay. Now, what is the importance of women in the judiciary? Okay, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals, especially SDG number 5 and SDG number 16 in particular, address the global responsibility of having gender equality and women representation in public institutions such as the judiciary. Okay, achieving equality for women judges is important, not only because it is a right for women, okay, but also because it is the right for the achievement of a more just rule of law. Women judges strengthen the judiciary and help to gain the public trust. Okay, the entry of women judges is a positive step in the right direction. Okay, in the direction of judiciaries being perceived as being more transparent, inclusive and representative of the people whose lives they affect. Okay, women judges enhance the legitimacy of courts, sending a powerful signal that they are open and accessible to those who seek recourse to justice. Okay, women judges also bring those lived experiences to their judicial actions, experiences that tend toward a more comprehensive and empathetic perspective. Okay, then adjudication is enhanced by the presence of women who bring to the fore considerations that would not have been taken into account in their absence. Okay, so adjudication process is also improved, okay, by the presence of women judges, because like women judges can bring their own life experiences, okay, into account. Okay, and this cannot be brought in their absence, and the scope of the discussion is hence enlarged, possibly preventing ill-considered or improper decisions. Okay, by elucidating how laws and rulings can be based on gender stereotypes or how they might have a different impact on women and men, a gender perspective enhances the fairness of adjudication, which ultimately benefits both men and women. Okay, so what are the suggestions that were given by KK Venugopal and others in this particular case? Okay, so court should declare that such remarks, okay, are unacceptable, which can potentially cause harm to the victim and to the society at large. I have given you an example of like Madhya Pradesh High Court, okay, MP High Court. So MP High Court asked a molester to visit the house of the girl and ask her to tie Rakhi. Okay, what it is doing, it is actually, you know, not enforcing the judicial standard. Okay, so the judiciary in itself, you know, following the layman's perspective. So the thing is, such remarks are unacceptable and it can potentially cause harm to the victim and to the society at large. Okay, the judicial order should conform to this to certain judicial standards, and necessary steps have to be taken to ensure that this does not happen in the future. Okay, the Supreme Court must direct the collection of data, okay, to determine the number of women judges in the lower judiciary and tribunals, and also to determine the year-wise number of senior designates to all high courts. Okay, then greater representation of women should be ensured at all levels of the judiciary, including the Supreme Court, and this initiative must come from the Supreme Court itself, considering that the power of appointment rests almost exclusively with the Supreme Court collegium. Okay, as you know that, like, you know, judicial appointments happen with the help of the collegium itself. So there is a collegium system in India. We will understand about the meaning of collegium and we will understand how the appointments are done, okay, in judiciary. So the judges of the Supreme Court are appointed by the President of India, and the Chief Justice of India is appointed by the President after consultation with such judges of the Supreme Court and High Court as he deems necessary. Okay. Then other judges are appointed by the President after consultation with the Chief Justice of India and such other judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts as he deems necessary. The consultation with the CJI or Chief Justice of India is obligatory, means it is an obligation on the part of the President of India to actually consult the Chief Justice of India for judicial appointments. Okay, in case of appointment of a judge other than the CGI. Okay, so any judge that the that the President of India is appointing in India, okay, maybe at the Supreme Court or at the High Court, the President is obligated, or it is mandatory on the part of the President to consult with the Chief Justice of India, and Chief Justice of India along with some senior most judges actually give recommendations to the President of India. So these recommendations are binding in nature, but sometimes the executive authority may delay the appointments. Okay, they may delay the appointments, but like whatever suggestions or whatever recommendations are given by the this collegium, okay, of the Supreme Court, that comprises of the Chief Justice of India also. Okay, so their recommendations is mandatory, or their this thing is binding. Okay, this the central government can send it back for reconsideration, but ultimately they have to follow. Okay, they have to follow the recommendation of the collegium. Then the goal must be to achieve at least 50% representation of women in all leadership positions, and hence there should be a mandatory training of all lawyers on gender sensitization. The judges who might belong to old school, okay, and are maybe patriarchal in outlook should be sensitized to deal with the cases of sexual violence, so that they do not pass orders objectifying women in such cases. Okay, what is the way forward for us? Okay, the wide prevalence of orders like the one from the MP High Court and other similar instances make it clear that there is a need for urgent intervention from the courts. Improving the representation of women in the judiciary is of crucial importance and have to go a long way towards a more balanced and empathetic approach in cases involving sexual violence. Okay, then changing the long-term established demographics of a court can make the institution more amenable to consider itself in a new light, okay, and potentially lead to further modernization and reform. Okay, so if you want to learn more on this topic, you can follow this reference link from Indian Express. This is a topic which is very important from means perspective. Okay, it may be asked in 2020 or maybe 2021 means exam. Okay, so gender sensitization in judiciary. Okay, so having understood this, let us move to the next topic for the day, which is the last topic we are going to discuss. Okay, we will understand about World Health Organization's World Malaria Report. Okay, this World Malaria Report is released by the World Health Organization. This is in itself is a very important information for the prelims exam. Okay, they may ask like which of the following organization releases the World Malaria Report. Okay, they may give you names of different organization. So among them, if there is an option of World Health Organization, that will be the right option. Okay. So let us understand the context in which this particular report was released. Okay, so like recently the World Health Organization has released the World Malaria Report 2020. The report provides a comprehensive update on global and regional malaria data and trends, including prevention, diagnosis, treatment, elimination, and surveillance. Okay, it indicates that India has made considerable progress in reducing its malaria burden. Okay, it indicates that India has made considerable progress in reducing the malaria burden. Let us understand about global analysis first, then we will understand about like India specific analysis on malaria. Okay, so malaria cases globally numbered about 229 million. Okay, so there are about 229 million malaria cases. Okay, an annual estimate that has remained virtually unchanged over the last 4 years. Okay, so like this particular estimate was same like over the last 4 years. Okay, in 2019 it claimed about 4 lakh, okay, 4 lakh 9,000 lives. compared to 4,11,000 lives in 2018. So like, globally, more than 4 lakh people are dying every year because of malaria. So it is a major thing that needs to be addressed globally. Okay, so this report actually highlights the global study as well as, country specific study. Okay, so we are interested in learning like what is the global trend, okay, related to malaria, and what is like India specific concern. Okay, so the report noted that 11 highest burden countries are Burkina Faso, Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Ghana, India, Mali, Mozambique, Niger, Nigeria, Uganda, and Tanzania. So these are the 11 highest burden countries, okay, with reference to malaria. So among them India is also there. Okay, and most other countries are actually from African continent. Okay, and they account for 70% of the global estimated case burden and 71% of the global estimated deaths from malaria. Okay, only 11 countries are there that has, global estimated cases of malaria and 71% of the global estimated deaths from malaria. Okay, so countries in the Southeast Asia made particularly strong progress with reductions in cases and deaths of 73% and 74% respectively. Now let us understand analysis with reference to India. So India is the only high endemic country which has reported a decline of 17.6% in 2019 as compared to 2018. Okay, so we have reported a decline in the number of incidents of malaria cases, okay, by 17.6% in 2019 as compared to 2018 data. The annual parasite incidence, okay, the annual parasite incidence, what do we mean by this? Annual parasite incidence is the number of new infections per year per thousand population. Okay, so it is the number of new infections per year per thousand population. Okay, so the annual parasite incidence reduced by 18.4% in 2019 as compared to 2018, and India has sustained annual parasite incidence less than 1 since the year 2012. Okay, India has also contributed to the largest drop in cases region wide from approximately 20 million to about 6 million. Okay, the percentage drop in malaria cases was 71.8% and 73.9% between 2000 to 2019. Okay, so within a decade we have seen considerable percentage drop in malaria cases and death cases. Okay, so we have seen drop in the cases of about 71% drop we have seen, and we have seen about 73.9% drop in the death rate from malaria. Okay, and India achieved a reduction of 83.34% malaria morbidity and 92% in malaria mortality between the year 2000 and 2019. Okay, so it's been 2 decades. Okay, not 1 decade, 2 decades, almost 20 years, thereby achieving a goal 6 of the millennium development goals. As you know, like MDG or millennium development goals were from 2000 to 2015, so they were like 15 years target. Okay, then after then we have sustainable development goals, and they are enforced from 2015 to 2030. Okay, so under that millennium development goal there was goal number 6. Okay, that MDG 6 aimed to combat HIV, AIDS, malaria and other diseases which have a direct or indirect impact on rural development, agricultural productivity and food and nutrition security. The Sustainable Development Goals have replaced the MDGs. I have already discussed MDGs were from the year of 2000 to 2015. Then after then we have upgraded goals. They were known as Sustainable Development Goals. Okay. So when we talk about the states of Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Meghalaya and Madhya Pradesh, okay, they are among the high endemic states in India. Okay, these states disproportionately account for nearly 45.47% of malaria cases in 2019. Okay, 63.64% of malaria deaths were also reported from these states itself. Okay, they are Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Meghalaya, and Madhya Pradesh. Okay, how many states are there? Only 5 states are there where we find, okay, where we find more than 45% of malaria cases, okay, in a particular year. Then what are the initiatives that were taken, okay, to curb malaria or to reduce the incidence of malaria cases and deaths from malaria? Okay, in India, malaria elimination efforts were initiated in the year of 2015 and were intensified after the launch of the National Framework for Malaria Elimination, which is in short known as NFME, okay, National Framework for Malaria Elimination, in the year of 2016 by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, so Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has launched the National Framework for Malaria Elimination in 2016. Then what is this National Framework for Malaria Elimination? This National Framework for Malaria Elimination is in line with the World Health Organization's Global Technical Strategy for Malaria 2016 to 2030, which guides the WHO World Malaria Program. Okay, and it is responsible for coordinating the World Health Organization's global efforts to control and eliminate malaria. Okay, the National Strategic Plan for Malaria Elimination, okay, which is a 5-year plan from 2017 to 2022, was launched in July 2017, which laid down strategies for the following 5 years. It gives year-wise elimination targets in various parts of the country depending upon the endemicity of malaria. Okay, implementation of high burden to high impact initiative. Okay, so we have an initiative which is known as high burden to high impact initiative. Okay, so implementation of this high burden high impact initiative was started in 4 states. They are West Bengal, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Madhya Pradesh in July 2019 itself. In 2018, the World Health Organization and the RBM partnership initiated high burden to high impact initiative in 11 high malaria burden countries including India to end malaria. Okay, it has continued to make impressive gains in India. Okay, with 18% reduction in cases and 20% reduction in death over the last 2 years. Okay, so this particular program, high burden to high impact initiative, this has actually reduced, okay, this incidences and death. Okay, so there were 18% reduction in the cases of malaria and 20% reduction in the deaths over the last 2 years. Okay, so due to the efforts made by the government of India in the provision of microscopes, rapid diagnostics, long-term lasting insecticidal nets, okay, to high burden areas has led to reduction in endemicity in these otherwise very high endemic states. Okay, so if you want to learn more, you can follow this reference link from Press Information Bureau, okay, related to World Malaria Report. Okay, one important thing that you should remember, that this particular report is released by World Health Organization. Okay, and World Health Organization has released it, okay, for the year 2020 now. Okay, and India is among the 11 high endemic states related, high endemic countries with reference to malaria. Okay, so that's all that I had to discuss for the day. Thank you so much for attending this session. I hope you have a good day ahead.